Hello and welcome to the University of Plymouth Postgraduate International Student Panel, where today we've got a panel of students from different countries studying a range of different subjects. They'll be answering your questions today about life as a student in Plymouth. So just so you know, we'll be running another webinar in a couple of weeks' time on the 6th of August. That's going to specifically answer any questions regarding pre-departure. The details of this are going to be sent out later this week, I think on Thursday. So keep an eye on your emails for that, and you should hear details of our pre-departure webinar that's happening in a couple of weeks' time. So anyway, we're going to try and answer as many of your questions as possible today about student life. Let's say our main focus is on student life, both from an academic perspective and also life outside the classroom. So thanks for joining us today from wherever you are in the world. I hope you can all hear us. If you can, or if you can't, can you put a message in the chat just so we know that you are receiving us loud and clear? Okay, well, we think we're being heard. Yeah, somebody's raised. Brilliant. Okay, yeah. That's great. Thank you. Brilliant. Thank you. So let's kick things off with some introductions. Firstly, I'm Andrew Rossiter. I'm a regional manager here in the international office here at the University of Plymouth. I'll hand over to my colleagues here on the panel. I don't know which direction you want to go in, but could you introduce yourself, say where you're from and what you're studying?
Sure. My name is Dela, and I'm from Iran. I study Master Medical Engineering. My pathway is nanotechnology.
My name is Sashi, and I'm from Sri Lanka. And I am studying a master's in medical engineering, but on the pathway of biomedical diagnostics.
I'm Sarah. I'm from Singapore. I just graduated from the BSc Occupational Therapy program.
And I'm Owain. I'm from Wales, so I'm not an international student. I snuck in. And I'm doing my master's in history.
Brilliant. Thank you. So just say we've had a number of questions that have already come through in advance on the Slido. So thank you for any of you who'd already submitted those. So we'll be answering those questions. While we're talking, you'll also have the chance to ask some questions in the chat, or do we put them in the Q&A? In the Q&A, please. If you can put any questions in the Q&A, and we'll do our best to answer these live. So either one of my colleagues will answer that within the chat, or we'll try and answer that live as we go along. Just to let you know, we won't be able to answer any questions today about individual applications. But if you do have questions about that, our colleagues will be able to put you in touch with our admissions team, and they'll be able to point you in the right direction. So how this is going to work is that I'll read out some of the questions that have been submitted. I'm going to ask each of the panelists to answer and give examples of their own experience. So we're going to start by focusing on the more academic side of student life, and then we'll move on to the life outside the classroom. And if we've got time, we'll possibly finish with a speed round, which might be a bit more fun, but let's see how time progresses, because we've only got until 3 p.m. So I think that's probably enough of me talking. I think you probably more want to hear from our students. So let's kick off with our first question. So firstly, what motivated you to choose Plymouth or the UK or both for your studies over other countries or destinations?
So I applied to many countries, other countries in Europe, like Spain, Italy, France, even Canada, and I got admission from them. But some reasons, like first, when I compared the cost for living and tuition fee, it could be a wise option to choose UK. And the other reason is I came back to uni after 6 years of graduation from my undergrad. So the postgrad study here for internationals is just 1 year. It would be better to do all these masters in just 1 year. If someone wants to do PhD after that, if someone wants to just go straight finding a job, 1 year is better. And the other reason I chose UK, and it's just, for me, it's just 5 hours, around 5 hours, 6 hours till just fly to go back home. And the other reason was English. If I chose another country, I had to start learning new language. But so I chose UK and first, if I don't want to just talk about the academic things, ocean. It's really close to ocean. I love seas and ocean, and living costs. It's really better. So they are like my first option, like my first priority is to choose UK.
Yeah, when it comes to me, it was mostly because my undergraduate was from a UK-based university. So it was pretty much easy for me to like acclimate myself with this curriculum and all of that. So that was one of the points. And it was easier to get into the programs as well. And also because I, as a curriculum, I also liked the way the degrees were structured, and because it's also 1 year instead of 2 years. And yeah, cost-wise, but also it was the best option I could find.
For me, I decided to come to the UK because it's a 3-year program as compared to like Australia, which would be a 4-year program for my bachelor's. Why I came to Plymouth, basically for a healthcare course, you would need to be able to work back home. I would need to graduate from an accredited university, and University of Plymouth is one of them. And what sold me to the University of Plymouth was during the interview, the lecturer showed us a picture of the hole, the light tower over there behind Ross. And yeah, that is what sold me to the university, really, being close to the sea.
Yes, so I didn't look outside of the UK, mainly because financially it was better for me to stay, but not being from England. It was also better for me to stay in Wales and not come to England. So I did look at English universities and Welsh universities, and there wasn't anything I really disliked, but I was really lucky that I could come to the open days. And on the Plymouth Open Day, it was the last one I came to, and everything just kind of like clicked into place really nicely. But the biggest thing for me was I got to meet the people who would teach on the course. Out of the 16 people that taught, I met 12 on the day, and they were all ready to answer questions about what they taught. And that was the biggest thing for me. I didn't get that from anywhere else. And it was really good to see how responsive they were to what I wanted to know about what I wanted to do. And they could help me fit that with their course and with what they taught and how they could help me. And that ticked every box within a couple of hours on the day. So even I didn't think about contacting the university before I came to the open day. I thought I'd just get it all done on the open day, and I was lucky I could do that. But there was one place I couldn't go to, and I did email and ask questions, and that is just as easy because you can ask the same questions. So you can ask about the course and do what you want to do and figure it out prior to getting here.
Great, okay. So let's fast forward then to when you actually arrived here. I don't know if this was the first time you'd all been to Plymouth. It was.
Yeah.
Yep.
What was the biggest challenges you found, or the biggest differences you found upon arrival when you got here? I don't know who wants to answer first.
You go. For me, it was mostly navigation. Like I can basically get lost anywhere.
Yes.
But navigating myself through the Plymouth is like a challenge, and walking. I am not used to walking and walking all these hills and all of that. Yeah, that was fun. And finding people and finding friends because I didn't know anyone when I came here. So yeah.
Let's see. Like building on that point, I think what the university has done well is that they did do like an international welcome week. So they kind of did orientate you to Plymouth, the university and the surrounding area, which was quite helpful for someone who has never been to Plymouth. Other challenges. So I'm used to living in a big city. So living in Plymouth will be quite different. The pace of life is much slower. So it's something you need to adapt to, really. Yeah.
I'm the other way around. I'm from a small town, so the pace of life here is a lot quicker to what I'm used to. But that's exactly what I wanted. So Plymouth has everything a city has got, being a city, but it's also a coastal city, and it's also, you know, quite detached from the rest of the UK geographically. So we are a smaller city, so we've got all the perks of being small, but quite a confined city.
Yeah,
So that everything is central, everything's within that bubble. But if you want a quieter life, you're not that far away from very quiet areas of the country.
Mine was not like, because I'm good at with Google Maps. Okay, now I can search how I can work, so it was easy to find ways. But my first challenge, I can say accommodation, finding home. But I think it for postgrad students, because it's country to country, it's different. But like if you go anywhere in the world, not even if you just move to another city in your country, you should learn new things, like how you should find a new home, how you should have a contract, all the laws, all the rules, and learn about them. And just I have a little nervous, like, am I gonna find the proper room, this kind of stuff. It was challenging. But as you said, for the finding friends, because at the first day I came to uni, I went to a library and student ambassadors were there, and I'm always saying that, like, I was like, okay, can we just talk? Can I ask a question? And since obviously English is not my first language, I was very, very nervous. But they were so friendly. They were like, yeah, we're here to help you. So like after 2 hours, I had friends, like making friends, and I can call them friends. Now I can call them friends and colleagues because I'm student ambassador now. But yeah, my biggest challenge was finding accommodation, all the contract, this kind of stuff. But it gets better after time. I learned that.
And the rest of us as well, we'll talk about a bit about accommodation. Did you find it easy to find accommodation? Have you got any tips for any of the students that may be listening now?
As I said at the beginning, it's gonna be challenging because you don't know the law, rules. It's gonna be different from any country. Like if you come from Iran, if you come from Malaysia, if you come from Singapore, it's gonna be different. And some of my friends, they could rent a student accommodation before even they arrive. But for me, like I had to come and search with agencies, book and view different accommodation. I was worried at the beginning, but it gets easier because I had to change my home after 3 months. So after 3 months, I know the rules, I know the laws. So like having a contract, it was easier. It was challenging again. As I said, it's gonna be hard at the beginning, but you can manage that. You're gonna learn that. And I think, yeah, it's a little hard, but not like you're not gonna be homeless, not going anywhere at night. You have some place to go and sleep. So yeah, for me, it was like that.
Yeah, for me, I pre-booked it because I attended one of the webinars by the university, and they were like, there are particular accommodations that were accredited. So yeah, I chose one of them and I pre-booked it. And when I came here, I had a place to stay.
because I'm doing the undergrad, I did the undergrad program, so I had the university halls to stay in. But in second and third year, I moved out into private accommodation. So I think my top tip is that you don't have to worry too much about not having a guarantor. You will just pay your full sum for the year upfront. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was the same as you, so I did halls in my first year, and then because I did my bachelor's here, and then I moved after. It is using the letting agencies is relatively easy. There's lots about. There's no sort of mad rush. There's not a massive limit on accommodation. It's just obviously securing it is always, oh, am I going to get it? Am I not? But we don't usually run out.
No, you
So
have somewhere to stay.
I've booked onto flats, days before I've moved in. And I'm not saying you should do that. I'm just saying that it's easy to do that. There is no sort of limit on that.
Okay. So aside from the accommodation service, what other support services have you found useful at the university while you've been here?
For living, if we're
Well,
talking,
probably for your studies or for living, for either.
I can give you a presentation about that. The first thing about, if I want to talk about like academic helps, before I came, I emailed my program lead on my subject. I asked him about what's gonna be like, do I have to study about particular thing, or do I have to, because there are modules on the website that you can see, okay, maybe I need to study math before I arrive. And since, as I said, I graduated 6 years, 7 years ago from my undergrad, I was like, okay, it's gonna be good, a little study before you're in there. And I received a full email. My program leader explained everything to me and told me, yeah, you need to read this. Even he sent like PDF files for me that it's gonna be useful to have them. And since I study not in English, I studied my undergrad in Persian, Farsi, so it was at the beginning, it was challenging for finding the structure for coursework. If I have grammar problem, this kind of stuff, even for like referencing plagiarism, because they're like every education systems are different, obviously. We have a special people for each faculty. Like I went to library and I had a session with a special person for Faculty of Engineering, dear Kate, and she taught me everything, like how I can on the university website, on library website, how I can find resources, how I can loan a book, how I can find ebooks, all of them. If I need something, if I need a article, for example, I can ask university to like, could you please buy that for me? They're gonna do that, or a book. And we have, like, I could ask my friends, my classmates, but also my lecturer were there. I could ask questions, I could send my coursework before submitting for their feedback. So I had this kind of, for the academic part, I had this kind of support. And for life, we have a lot of support here. Like we have my career in our library that they're gonna help you for finding a job and everything, CV, LinkedIn, everything. But the well-being system in uni, I use it a lot. And it's because when I arrived, I thought like, you shouldn't be homesick. It's not like, you're grown up, you shouldn't be homesick. But after 2 months, I was really, really sad. I booked a session and went to a session with University Wellbeing, and they helped me, really helped me. And like after 2 months, I'm completely okay to say that I just cried. In exactly the moment I said, I cried, and the health advisor was like, yeah, that's okay. It's your right to be homesick. And they guide me with everything. Like I have mentor from all, because I like, if someone struggle with mental health, depression, all these things, they're gonna be there, they're gonna help you. I have mentor, uni provide that for me. She really helps me. I have every week I have session with my shrink from university. So I use that system a lot. So it's really good. But yeah.
I think you pretty much summed up almost everything. Like, you know,
Yeah.
I have used the career service just as much with the CDs for part-time jobs and all of that.
I've used the writing cafe, which is quite helpful actually, especially for someone who writes a lot of essays. So what they can do is they can read through your, like, chunks of your essays and give you feedback on how to like better structure it. They won't be able to give you like course specific feedback, because the person doing the feedback will not be from your course, most likely. But it's good to have this kind of resources available.
You've covered everything except for the one that's quite new. The university, and I think we've only had them 2 or 3 years, got student digital champions. So whilst the university does have IT help in terms of, you know, when things go wrong with your account, or things like what happened last week when the world shut down, stuff like that, they are there to answer questions and help. We've also got other students, so it is a potential part-time job too, who I think they only work about 6 or 8 hours a week each-ish. They are trained by the university to help with the really simple stuff, just to make studying easier. It's just to create the convenience of studying, so that you're not worried about downloading Microsoft and making it work and making sure your Zoom works and all of the kind of little things that are finicky and annoying when they don't work. There are people there to help you, and they're on a desk. I think at the start of the year, they're there all the time.
Yeah.
So you can just pop in, sit down and be like, I've got a problem, and they generally fix it on the spot.
Yeah.
And they're really, really good. And we've only had them quite recently, so when I started, they didn't exist, and I wish they did. But I think that's the only one we haven't covered.
Yeah,
But there's probably more.
Yeah.
We like if you have any question, even financially, yeah, you can
Mm.
go, yeah, we have, because I went for the, like, we have a student hub in our library, so you just can go and ask, like, I think 3 times per week. Financial teams are there and they're gonna help you with financial question. It's if it's about tuition
Yeah,
fee,
tuition.
all those problems, yeah, they're just there to help you. Even we have like, if you have question for internationals, if you have question about visa, those kind of question, again, student hubs
Yeah.
in library, they're gonna help you. Yeah, I think they all know me. They're asking questions.
Right, okay, so you mentioned about the writing cafe and help with structuring your essays and things like
That's
that.
right.
How have each of you found the academic environment in the UK compared to either yourself at school alone or in your own country? Is it what you expect? Is it different what you expect? Is it not what you expected?
It's quite similar for me because I did a diploma back home, a vocational studies for people here, which is quite similar because I did a lot of essay writing as well. So, and we use the same referencing style. So coming here wasn't too much of a challenge, wasn't too much of a learning curve. And I think I adapted quite well to studying in the UK.
Yeah, like I said, my undergraduate was affiliated with the UK University. Because of that, I was very familiar with how the essays were structured or the referencing was done. But if we compare it to the education system in my country, it is very different, where this is more based more on independent study, but the education system there is based more on like information provided and you study, that sort of thing.
Yeah, for me, it was really different, first because of the language. And then for my undergrad, in my education system, for every module we have exam. It's not just coursework. But at the beginning, it was really challenging. And I had a lot of questions about like the structure, referencing, all of those kinds. But there were people to help. Please don't be shy and ask questions, because I was shy to ask questions, and then I learned, no, it's okay to ask questions. So I learned it's a process, but now that I'm working on my dissertation, I'm really better than the first days I arrived. So it was different, but I learned step by step. I learned, and there are a lot of people and there are a lot of resources. Even if you don't want to just go and ask questions, there are a lot of resources on website of the library, on the website of uni that you can use and read them and learn how you can do your coursework.
Have you found it different from undergraduate to masters? Possibly?
I think the jump from sort of A level or whatever comes before the bachelor's is definitely bigger than the one from undergrad to masters. But probably especially because I kept on the same course. So like with referencing, when I started, I found referencing really hard, and it took me about 2 years to stop having to look up how to reference every time I made a new reference. Whereas now I can do it without looking, and I can type it out straight away, and I don't even have to think about it. But my course on history is different to the way they reference in criminology, and that's different to the way they reference in architecture. So it is going to be different from wherever you're coming from, but it's not because it's, you know, a UK university or because we do it differently in Plymouth compared to, you know, Bristol or whatever. It's because we generally try it. So the history course does a type of referencing that's quite common in history articles when you're reading and researching. And most courses will follow their academic standard across the world rather than a university standard. So that works quite well. So wherever you're researching, generally you can fit in with what you're doing.
Okay. Move on. We had a question come in on the Slido. Ask about how many hours of classes or how many classes you have per week or per month. Who wants to kick off?
Yeah, it's subject to subject, it's different, like we are.
Yeah, we're in the same course with different pathways. So he's doing nanotechnology and I'm doing biomedical diagnostics. And initially during the first semester, we had more classes because the modules are different. And then the next semester they have more classes and we have
Yeah.
less.
Like, so if you just think about like other subjects, it's different. Subject to subject, it's different. Like we had classes and labs, but some of the other engineers, they don't have lab, but some of them they had to like, they travels to fields for like geography, this kind of stuff. And it depends on the subject, like I can say exactly like 30 hours per term, 30 hours per week, I had classes, but it was different for master at least. it's
Yeah.
different. Yeah.
Mine is more structured because mine's undergrad, so it's like we have 3 days of long days, 3 long days of lessons, so 9 to 4. Then the rest of the time is for you to self-study.
So I'm the opposite. I basically do very little. So for the history master's course, you choose everything you do other than 2 main modules. They are 3 hours each a week per semester. So that's definitely 1 3-hour seminar you're doing each semester for 12 weeks. And then in my first semester, I chose to do an independent project. So I didn't do another class for that. I just researched on my own and met with a lecturer usually once a fortnight, but sometimes more often, sometimes less often. And then I choose when I work. So I do a lot of interviews. I choose when they are. I choose when I do my research. Sometimes I'll do a job during the day for money, and then I'll do my work in the evening, things like that. But generally, I've picked up what I've done when I've done. I've never done more than 6 hours of classes in 1 week.
And as a sort of general question, how do you sort of balance your study against your part-time work and your socialising? Is that quite easy to balance?
With only 6 hours of classes a week. Yes.
It was.
But the flexibility for me has been the biggest thing, and it's part of the reason I chose this and didn't go anywhere else. So yeah, like I just said, the ability to take on a job. So most of, not just being a student ambassador, but most of the work I do is either 0 hours, or I can very easily move my meetings and things around the work I get for money, or to go and do something for fun. So that's quite good.
And the rest of you, how do you balance that?
I think it's time management really. Yeah, because when I was on placement, I basically worked during the day, so like at 8 to 4, like a normal working day. Then I went to work like maybe a club shift, maybe like an 8 to 12 shift or club shift. So I think it was manageable. With a little bit of sacrifice to your sleep, but it's manageable. And like socializing, because I live with like friends and course mates, so I socialize with them quite often as well. So I don't think it really affected me having a part-time job.
For me, it was pretty manageable as well. I don't think there was any any reduction of my social life as well. It was just yeah, it was manageable with the time and all of that. Maybe just like you said, she said, less sleep a bit.
Especially when you're close to deadline.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have those coursework, exam. But for me, because I had classes and labs and I had to study, and I came back to uni after years. So honestly, especially the first semester, I couldn't find any job for like part-time job, or because I didn't have time to do that, or the time that I could do again, like I could work on weekends, only weekends, and I didn't find a lot of jobs that they like the manager would be having just Saturday, Sunday. But with ambassador job, and then continue with the study, getting familiar with everything, it gets better. And I learned to talk like how I should manage my time, but not just study and working, like a social life. We still have time to chat and like, like going out with friends, cooking, like sometimes having like birthday parties together. We try to manage that, like talking with mom every day. Yeah, I have time for that. So yeah, you can manage it. You can manage
I
it.
guess it's just working it into the routine, you get used to it.
Yeah,
it becomes just
exactly.
normal.
Yeah.
So before we move on to sort of the social side of things, I mean, we've covered it a bit. Cast your mind back to when you first arrived and the welcome week. Did you have classes in that first week, or was it just a bit of getting used to the university, getting used to the city? What actually happened in that time? If you can remember.
Yeah, for us, like as postgrads, it was different. I think since we talked about it.
Yeah.
We had international welcome week. It was only fun. Getting to know places and people. Yeah, we had different societies in our SU, and they had like parties at night, different things and stuff. But we had induction day, and I can remember like even on an induction day, it wasn't all the engineering students, like the subject that they're close to each other. And after that, we had the induction with our program lead, and after that, our class starts. So, but for some of my friends, it was different. Yeah, again, it depends on the subject.
During that meeting with the program lead, we got to know other people who did the same course, like, be friends and get to know more about the modules and all of that. So it was very useful.
Yeah.
For mine, it was, I had the whole the international welcome week free. The week after, which was the freshers week, I had lessons, some sort of lessons already, with the other healthcare professional students. So it was like a mixed module, if that makes sense. So that was when our lesson started already. But it's the week after that we had proper like course related lessons. Yeah.
Yeah, mine was an induction. There were 2 induction sessions. One was like a general welcome to the course kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then the other one was right, so your dissertation is due a year from now. And here's how you're going to do it. And it was not as morbidly terrifying as I just made it sound. It was a clear roadmap of who you're going to work with, how it's going to work, what, because you're on the history course, your dissertation is your dissertation. You do what you want with it. So that's the sort of general roadmap of the timelines of when you're going to get things done by. But at the end of the day, they're flexible because it's your work, not theirs.
Yeah.
So the only deadline is the deadline, and the rest of it is up to you. So that induction session was all about that and how the dissertation works.
So would you say the welcome week and the induction weeks are really useful?
Yeah.
Probably try
Definitely.
Definitely.
Yeah. Okay. Good. You sort of linked that. We'll move on to the social side. And we said about induction and freshers week. Go on then, tell us about freshers week. What does it involve? What are the clubs, societies? What actually happens in freshers week?
Yeah, it was great. Seriously, really, like we had different parties, events, and like I had my first fish and chips. Like they had for international students, they have this gathering, and it was an event. Free stuff, a lot of, and the every day it was like people there to help you from different part of uni. Exactly, you said like champions, a student, they were there to help me because I had problem with my app, like uni app, with my phone. And they were there to help me, and people from like for finding a home, even other ambassadors are there to help you and going around, like getting familiar with the whole campus. So it was really good, really fun. Like we could choose. Like I can remember we had salsa dance event. Someone was there actually teaching us salsa dance. So it was really great. Like it was a really warm, fresh welcome, and they're like, after that, we're gonna study. Chill, chill, we're gonna study after that.
But there's 2 days. It's usually the Wednesday and Thursday, but they might move it. Where there's the societies fair and the sports clubs fairs, and they are run by students. So they'll all have a stall each, and they'll try and get you to join their club. And generally, there'll be sports that you've never heard of that shouldn't exist, like underwater hockey. Did you know what underwater hockey was? Exactly. So there's all these different, like, weird and wonderful things. But I learned recently, about a month ago, this year we've opened more clubs and societies, so that students getting together, getting 20 people to start a new thing. We've opened so many, only about 10 in the past year, but that's pushed us to be the only university in the UK with over 180 clubs and societies. So we've got more than any other British university, and we've got more water-based sports than any other UK university.
That's not surprising, is it?
No, it's not. But I only found that out this week, and underwater hockey is one of them. And that still baffles my mind. But like, I didn't know what lacrosse was before I came to uni, and these people walking around with funny sticks with nets on the end. I had no idea what that was, but it's really sort of the freshers events
Yeah.
in terms of the fairs. They're very American, and they feel sort of like quite different. And it's such an information dump going around and seeing all these different things.
Yeah.
But they're run for us,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
they're dirt cheap, and they're brilliant because they're run by us too. So
Yeah.
Sorry.
No,
interrupt. And it's not just like if someone not interested in sports, there are like creative writing, acting, like singing, dancing, even like different singers, different books. We have all societies for each one of them, and you can join, see other people that you can share and talk about it. So really good.
I would like to plug the International Society.
Yeah.
So yeah, there is so we offer an international society for like students from different backgrounds. You can be local as well if you wanted to join the society. It's just like a space where students get to interact with one another and learn about different countries and cultures. So we do like international events. So we've done Chinese New Year events, a Greek carnival, Diwali. So these are some of the events we do. We also have gone on like trips out of town, like the day trip, so to Exeter, Cornwall, so nearby cities. So it's just for international students to get together. So
Yeah.
you might want to consider that.
Yeah.
So what club societies, are there ones you've joined? Are there things that you've done here that you've never tried before you got here?
I don't stand up paddleboarding.
Right, okay.
Because I thought that I was by the water, so I should do a water sport. But then I tried to do surfing, but it was quite difficult without a car to get to all the surfing spots. So when they started the stand-up paddleboarding like 2 years back, I've heard of it, but my friend was part of the community, but I didn't join. So I joined this year, and I did enjoy it very much. Yeah.
Did you have a wetsuit on?
Well, I got that wetsuit, but yeah, I enjoyed it.
I did like as you said, we had Chinese New Year, we had different kind of stuff and different dance classes, dance societies, and I went to there like it was my first time celebrating Chinese New Year. Even we had like the Persian New Year, the Persian society, we had the Persian New Year gathering together, but it was really good to see other people, and especially karaoke. We have karaoke in SU, always there. So yeah, I didn't did this like that, but before, but now I have experience. Yeah.
yeah, I went shooting because someone said it's a good idea and you'll have a laugh. Like, I believed them, and that was 2 years ago. And I love it. And I'd never heard of like it as a sport. I used to think that it was sort of like, all the things you see in the news about it being about fox hunting and posh people, and it's not. It's amazing, and it's because it's done through the university, and we get funding from the SU, and it's like all the money's clubbed together and everything. It's really cheap, like really, really cheap. And then I told my grandmother, and she thought, "Oh, what are you doing? That's expensive. You're going to be asking us for money to go and do this sport that you can't afford." And it's not. It's really, really cheap, and it's so much fun. And I didn't think that I would get into something as ridiculous as that, but now I have.
Well, I think that's, you know, I went to university a long time. I think it's the chance to do things you've never tried before,
Yeah.
and you may never get to try it again, and at such a reduced cost
Yeah.
is the thing to think about. You mentioned about going up to Exeter and different parts. Have you had a chance to explore the wider UK, or has it just been Devon and Cornwall, or where have you managed to go since you've been here?
Yeah, actually I had, but two things that I figured out recently, every Wednesday, well-being of SU, they had this program walking around the Devon and Cornwall seasides. And like from uni, there are coaches and you can go and it's free. But unfortunately, when it happened Wednesday mornings and I had classes. But as a part of a student ambassador, I had this opportunity to go to other cities for tutoring and mentoring kids in a school. So I went to Exeter, I went to Somerset, so yeah, around Cornwall, yeah, like this. And I know that with even just bus, not coach, with bus from Plymouth, you can go to near near seaside, and you can just have with your friends, you can go and have barbecue there, so it's like it's easy to have access to that.
Yeah, for me, I haven't been like all over Devon and Cornwall, but recently I did go to Blackpool Sands. It was like a beautiful beach, like really beautiful. Yeah.
I've been to Cornwall, Devon. My placement sent me to Somerset as well. But besides school related stuff, my friends and I do road trips. My friend can drive, so we've been to Brighton, Bournemouth. I've taken a plane up to Edinburgh. Yeah, so I've been quite a number of places within the UK and also like out of the UK. So it's quite interesting, really.
Yeah, I've the one that I've done this year a few times is I didn't realise how well connected we were to London. Like, I know it sounds really silly, but the train isn't that long, so a day trip to London isn't out of the question. And I've done that a couple of times this year. But the one that I'll never forget is I got on a ferry in the Barbican in like the old town, and it was only a couple of quid, and it took us to Cornwall, and it beached itself in Cornwall in Kingsand, and all is there is a couple of houses, a pub and a beach. And I took a photo and I convinced my grandmother that I went to France. and it was summer and it was beautifully sunny and it was just amazing. It was just, there and back in a good afternoon. And that was, you know, you can't do that in many other cities in the world.
Seriously, yeah.
So one of the questions we have been asked is about managing finances as a student. What's the minimum amount you'd say you need to survive on accommodation, food and expenses? Have you got any advice you'd like to impart to our listeners or viewers?
I'm gonna say, like, you're gonna learn how to manage your money, but since you know, like, the rent and most of the house and accommodation are bills included, especially for students. So you know the amount, the money that every month you have to pay for your rent. So step by step, like during weeks, during days, you're gonna learn where I should go buy this kind of stuff, grocery shop, all those things, which cafe of the uni is better, like I should go. And then you're gonna manage to, oops, sorry. You're gonna learn how to manage your money and like finding the best places to buy stuff, cooking. It's obviously anywhere you live, cooking is a better option than every day going to restaurants. So that's how I learned to manage.
Yeah, and I also maintain an Excel sheet with my, yeah.
Wow, you're
I'm really sorry. She's the pro.
And yeah, bulk bills help, and cooking at home helps a lot. Yeah, with the expenses.
Yeah, I normally shop in Aldi. So, like, I usually spend about 15 to 20 pounds a week. Just on the stuff that I'll be using that week. That doesn't include stuff that I bought by like a big bag of like 10 kg rice. I think the people at the call center has laughed at me for buying a 5 kg bag of rice. But yeah,
Yeah, I think having a part-time job, or at least a 0 hours contract where you can pick up things when, you know, it's handy to pick up, but you don't have to. That's really, really helpful. But generally it's not, you know, we are one of the cheapest cities, but because you know in advance what your rent is going to be, you can kind of work out everything else. And there's no guarantee the prices of, you know, food remain the same anyway.
No.
So generally, it's all you've got to do is work out your week to week. And some weeks are going to be expensive and some weeks aren't. And that's just the way it works. So you could say, oh, I'm going to say £20 a week. And that's how it's going to be. And you might spend all of that £20 on week one. But on week two, you've got £7 left over after your weekly shop because you've got food left over. So it generally, I think, if you're worrying about it now that far in advance, you're probably one of those people who doesn't need to worry because you're that organised.
Yeah.
And you talked about buying rice and things like that. Are there certain shops you go to?
There is.
Can you get food from home? Do you find that easy? Is there food that you miss from home? Any of you? I don't know about you, Ryan, but
I would say bring stuff that you really love from home though. So maybe like a jar of chili that you can't find in the Asian marts. You can bring it from home and then top up whenever you go back home. But besides that, there is the Asian mart, which is quite a good selection of different ingredients and pastes and whatever like stuff that you need, snacks. So yeah, it's quite helpful to have the Asian. There's a number of them in town, so you have selection as well.
Yeah, and I think, again, you're gonna learn how you're gonna buy, which is like, this yogurt tastes like home, this cheese tastes like the one we had back in home. You're gonna learn that, and you're gonna know like there are all places that you can order, and online they're gonna send you. I would say like don't bring a lot of food from home. Don't put a lot of these things in your luggage and bring because you're not gonna be hungry and you're gonna find everything. But yeah, like I think you're gonna learn how, because always you can order from, as you said, from
Online.
London, and it's just like
Yeah.
they're gonna send less than 2-3 days. So yeah, that's insane.
Yeah.
The two things that I didn't think I'd miss anything, you know, because I'm not an international student, you know, Wales isn't that far away and it isn't that culturally different. But you can even find Welsh cakes in Aldi.
Yeah.
So I knew I'd miss them, but the packet Welsh cakes aren't the same. So I knew I couldn't, you know, bring Welsh cakes and all the time and stuff like that. So, and I missed my grandmother's toasties. So my answers to the two problems were not to bring my nan's toasties frozen or to bring frozen Welsh cakes, was to bring the means to make them. So I just bought a George Foreman when I was here, because that's how my nan makes toasties. So that I could make the same toasties that my nan makes. So whenever I'm feeling it, I can make my nan's toasties.
Yeah.
And they'll never be as good, but I can emulate the experience. So if you can't bring the food, bring the means to make the food, and then you'd be fine.
Yeah, exactly.
and has British food been as good stroke bad as you expected it to be?
It's not too bad actually. I love the Sunday.
Did you say that shocked?
But I was told that it's gonna be bland and no. Yeah, no, but I love a roast dinner. Oh, that's my favorite meal.
I love trying new food, and I'm open to like, okay, I have this one, yeah. But as I said, like I love fish and chips, and I love like the first time I had this pudding Christmas dessert, this kind, yeah. Like it was the first time I got, and like different types of cheese, different types of chocolates, this kind of stuff. But yeah, I like try different things, so I'm okay.
It's quite funny. My friend in first year gave me a list of all the quintessential British snacks that I should be trying in my first year here. So I went through like Jaffa cake.
No,
No, 100%. I reckon they're the best in the world.
I don't like marmalade though.
I had
So I like the
2 days ago.
raspberry.
It was the first time I had 2 days ago,
Yeah.
and I told my friend, "Yeah, I bought that," and she was like, "It's your first time?" I'm like, "Yes." It's
Can I-
really delicious, yeah.
And I throw in on the fish and chips, the fish and chips that's served on campus is locally caught. And it's quite expensive in the Barbican, because obviously that's where it's caught and you can see the fishing boats and everything.
Yeah.
The same fish on campus is £5.50 with chips and peas.
Yeah, I love
It's nuts how cheap it is, and it's the same fish.
Yeah, I love the one, yeah, you know, they're separate, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, talks about food, there's two things British people love to talk about, food
Weather.
and the weather. How have you found it? Have you found the season difficult? Has it been a big change for you?
For me, because I love rain, I love cloudy, and I love cloudy weather, so I'm the one that always happy when I see like it's rainy outside, yes, it's cloudy outside, yes. But I see like most of my friends when they like we have sun, they're happy, and we have sun here a lot compared to other parts of UK, especially to Scotland and to North. But wind was challenging at the beginning because we live close to ocean, so obviously the winds is like hitting us. It's really at the beginning it's challenging, but after 2-3 months I get used to like cold weather and the windy days. But I'm like, for people that they don't like rain and cloudy, I'm not a good person to give advice because I love rain. But one of my friends told me before I came, don't buy umbrella, don't bring umbrellas every day. And I didn't buy, and he told me, don't buy waterproof shoes from home. Just come here and buy waterproof shoes. So that's 2 tips I can give. Yeah.
Yes, so when I came here, I was expecting like very cold weather, completely different from where I come from. But after coming here, it wasn't so bad. It was actually good. It was the rain didn't faze me much because it rained just as much in Sri Lanka. And yeah, the umbrella. I actually brought my umbrella, and each time I would use the umbrella, it would like just blow up the opposite side, and I would have to like hold one end of it. And yeah, and the wind. I pretty much got blown behind. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you'll get acclimatized to the weather eventually. I'm from Singapore, so I'm by the equator, so it's always hot. So coming here is quite a big change for me. So when I first came here, it was freezing. It's still freezing now, but less freezing, and I have like proper like raincoats and all my jackets, so I feel better now. Nice and warm, and I drink a lot of tea.
I found out recently, I don't know if it's true, but I was told that Plymouth is the 3rd wettest university city in the UK. And I didn't believe it because I thought surely up north they're going to have more rain. But turns out where I'm from in Wales, I live between number 1 and number 2 on that list. So me not believing Plymouth was 3rd was only because I've been in places, the only 2 places that are wetter. But we do also have some of the hottest summers in Plymouth because we are further south than anyone else. So we do get a really wet winter, but we also get a really hot summer. So we get the best and the worst.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
And for those of you that have come from overseas, did you buy all of your seasonal clothing when you were here then? You've also already got it, yeah.
I actually brought mine from back home,
Okay.
but I also bought a few from here as well. But yeah, it's pretty easy to buy whatever you need from here because you have the stores close by.
With Amazon
Everything is reachable by walking.
Yeah, and always
online, yeah.
Yeah, online. I actually like my mom told me you should take all of your warm clothes, and I brought a lot. But still, like it's so because we like uni is the main campus is in the city center. We're so close to the city center, so it's so easy. Like you can go between your classes.
Yeah.
You can go buy the coat you want, and then come back to your classes. So.
Is there anything you would say to people, make sure you bring that, don't forget to bring this?
Bring your favorite rice cooker. The ones here are not great.
I might suggest the spices.
Yeah.
Pillow.
I don't know.
Seriously, pillow, like, because if you want a really good pillow, it's for a student's life, you can say it's expensive, so it's good to brought your own pillow.
Vacuum packed.
Exactly. Put in a vacuum pad. It's not gonna have a lot of spaces in your luggage. But I only brought my clothes and like my shoes, but it's not like I shouldn't bring my shoes. Like,
I
but
literally came here with one luggage.
yeah.
23 kg, that's all I came with.
And how much you got to take back?
11 boxes.
There you go. What do you enjoy doing in the city outside the university? What do you enjoy doing?
Always ocean is my first option, like always. Since again, we're really close with 20-25 minutes walking, we can go next to the ocean. So and just enjoy just seaside, and I love that. But except ocean, again, exploring around city center, some like people like me, I love music, so people can always find me in HMB. I'm looking at different kind of music albums. Or we have different, like we have Royal William Yard, it's really
Yeah.
different, and we have the whole, and actually I love historical places, like the museum is exactly in front of uni. So I went there, and for me, it's like I spend my time mostly around the ocean, but even library, I spend a lot of time in the library, just staying there, chilling, reading a book, like literature books. That's my things. But
Yeah, so for me, it's mostly yeah, going to the Ho is one, and then again hanging out with my friends, like just randomly talking, even if it's around the university or even at one of our houses, and yeah, generally that. And I mostly read, so mostly reading at home.
Recently, I've been going bouldering. So there is a boulder center outside of city center, which is quite nice to go to. Then besides that, I like to do cafe hopping. Well, there is one cafe that I love called Early Bird. So I go there quite often for brownies
Ah.
and their loaded fries. Yeah, so these are my favorite things to do.
I'm gonna cop out my answer because mine's basically the same as yours. I chose Plymouth because it's a really old city. During the days, especially when I'm not studying, if I move my degree work to a weekend, I can go to things like the old places and museums and things like that when people are in work, so there's less people there.
yeah.
So that's that was really big for me.
Right, I notice we are approaching 3 o'clock. I'll do one last question. How do you stay connected to your cultures and traditions back home? And how do you, is it easy to, it probably is these days, to stay in touch with your family and things
Yeah.
like that?
Family, yes, because every day I'm talking with my mom. Yeah, Google Meet, thank you. But we have different societies here. And for me, if I want to, like, we have Persian society. So they provide like our special events, like Nowruz, which is the first, like, New Year's for Persians, or we have other gatherings. I think most of the countries we have this
Same with me.
society.
Yeah, we have the Sri Lankan society where they actually had like a New Year planned, and yeah. And also Christmas party, like for every occasion, there's like a cultural meetup as well.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It's easy to find people from your country and talk.
Yeah, and I think well, for me, cooking brings people together. Food brings people together. So I would cook for my housemates, like my local housemates, and they quite enjoy like the food that I cook. I also meet up with like friends from Singapore. So like they are in Plymouth now. So we come together and make meals and food that we enjoy.
There's
Yeah.
even a Welsh society, so even we do the same, and we get together, and food is the biggest thing that brings us together, only second to the rugby. So that is huge for us. But yeah, so like a lot of, like, I don't speak Welsh, I speak Welsh as a second language, and I struggle to keep fluent. So having other Welsh people in a group, some of them who do speak Welsh as a first language, that is really big for me as well. So I imagine that's the same for a lot of people in lots, like there's loads of different cultural societies. Or when you're looking on the UPSU website, you're gonna filter out the other ones, so you can only see the cultural ones and the ones that are you know, from different parts of the world. So there's Nigerian students, there's an Afro-Caribbean one, like there's all these different ones. Yeah, there's so many that all the weird and wonderful.
You can take a look at it on the UPSU website.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I say, we tend to have a society for pretty much everything. The only thing you didn't throw in was Welsh Melbourne Square, but there probably is one of those as well, I guess.
There's not one in the university, but there is one in Plymouth. And they do albums that are on Spotify.
And we had a comment there about another Sri Lankan tuning in. Thank you for tuning in and commenting there. That's lovely. Okay, well, we've overrun slightly, but I just want to say thank you to our wonderful panel for all their time, and thank you to all for listening and for tuning in today. Just a final reminder that we do have the pre-departure session taking place on the 6th of August. Within that, there will be a more bespoke Q&A session included where you can ask about your applications and about arrangements for when you first arrive. So unless anybody's got anything else they'd like to say, I'd just like to say thank you again for tuning in and for joining us. And like I say, we look forward to seeing you in Plymouth, hopefully in September.
Yeah.
Great, thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.